what is Nostr? Why should people care about Nostr? What is it? And why should they look at it? Why should they move over from Twitter, Facebook, whatever kind of social media? What's Nostr? Why is it useful?
The main, I guess so fundamentally what it is just it's a reversal of so you know how like the sort of traditional way things work is you have a client and a server, and the client is dumb and the server is smart, and the server stores all your data. It does all the state transitions. It's their source of truth that the client refers to. So this flips it the other way around. The client is what does all the work, and the server, which is in Nostr, we just call it a relay. It's dumb, doesn't do anything. All it does is it stores events, and events are just data. So it stores data, and it gives you back that data when you ask for it. And the clients do everything else. So all the data that is stored on relays is it's signed by the creator's public key. So I should probably go back a little bit further, actually. So Nostr is fundamentally built around the concept of public-private key. So you have your I'm pretty sure your audience would know like public-private key pair, like it's how Bitcoin addresses work and all this stuff. So
maybe just to explain, just the difference between a public, just the layman's what is a public key and what is a private key.
So a private key is you generate a random number, and then that's like your password, and then your public key is your public identity that's associated with that random number. So I can prove that anything that I sign with that private key is like, you only need my public key to know that I've signed it with my private key. So it's just proof that I signed something, really. So you have so with a Bitcoin address, for example, you have your private key, and you have your public address. So it's basically the same concept. So everyone can see a public address, but you can only spend coins by using your private key, which is the random number. So Nostr uses the same thing. You have you generate a private key, just literally generating a random number, and then you derive your public address, your public key, from that random data, and that's the thing you give to everybody else. So anything you publish, it's published as your public key, and it can't be forged. So like anything you publish, it's only from you. So you're not relying on like a server or something to say this was from you. It's the data itself says that. So I think basically the key takeaway is in Nostr, the data, all the Nostr data, like everything is all signed by someone's private key, which means you can see the public, like what public key that is. Essentially, from the user's perspective, it's like you only care about their public key. You don't care about their private key. The only reason you care about their private key is because that's how they prove that they've signed it. But essentially, what you see is all the data has come from a public key, and someone owns that public key, and someone can prove that they own that public key. So it doesn't matter what the server says, and in this case, the server is a relay. Your client is going to verify that data was produced by that public key. And then so if you follow someone, you're following their public key, and then you can see all the events, all the messages that they've produced. And your client can verify that regardless of what the server says. So like with Facebook or Twitter or something, the front end is just saying, well, the server says that this guy wrote that message, so this guy wrote that message, but you have no idea whether that guy wrote that message. Facebook could be making that up, and I wouldn't put that past them. So like, yeah, so that's one sort of aspect of Nostr it's not particularly new or a special technology. It's very standard. It's like been around probably since, well, forever, really. But what's interesting is just the way that the architecture, where with this dumb relay architecture, that's the interesting part. That's the difference. So what you're doing is like, imagine like if Twitter, you could view Twitter as like similar to Nostr, except that there's only one relay, and that's the Twitter servers, and you trust them, right? So if you have your Twitter followers, if Twitter decides to ban you, that's it. Like, they can't get your messages anywhere else. They can't subscribe to another Twitter server to get the messages, like another Twitter server that didn't ban you. But with Nostr, you can. With Nostr, you just have, okay, if this relay bans you, it doesn't matter because there's heaps of other relays, and your followers can find you on any of them. So you can bring your data just it's just going to route around any kind of issues that like censorship issues or anything like that.